And wonderful. We are live after a bit of technical difficulties. So, hello, everybody. Hello, lovelies. My name is Vivian Marr, and I am one of the moderators of this lovely self love community. And together with Jessica Ristin, we are on the goal of creating self compassion and self love based movement in the world and building products around this. Me, myself, Vivian Marr, I am a self love coach as well as background in entrepreneurship and neuro linguistic programmer practitioner. Um, Today's live is about such an important topic. So it's about the scientific elements behind self-compassion. And I'd like to ask during this presentation that you'd take a note of what is your current knowledge or relationship with self-compassion, and why are you interested in this concept, and what particularly do you think from my presentation could help you? Anyhow, if we go into the concept of self-compassion, first of all, we might be really interested in like, why are we talking about, like, what are the benefits of it? So, self-compassion has been widely published and researched by Dr. Kristen Neff. Dr. Kristen Neff in the States has done extensive research over the past, I'd say, 15 years on this topic and has defined self-compassion. She has plenty of research on the benefits of it, and I would like to highlight some of this now. So first of all, if we talk about the benefit side, then the first and foremost, and when it comes to women and self-love, and that there is a connection, is this ability to deal with this kind of anti-self. What is an anti-self? It's the self part of us that's constantly criticizing us, that's constantly saying we're not good enough, and that beats us up when we make mistakes, and so on. So self-compassion is ideal for dealing with inner critic, ideal for dealing with failures and the times when we are not doing so good in our lives. So those kind of use cases primarily. However, it has been researched to have positive effects on many different areas, such as it's been related to overall happiness, increase in happiness, increase in initiative taking, positivity, also being more open to people, interpersonal relationships. All right, but now that the benefits are sort of there and clear for a lot of us from the inner critic perspective, we can move into how it is actually defined in the science. So in the science, when we are teaching self-compassion, we look at three elements. So the first element is the act of actually noticing that the kind of anti-self that's within you is doing something or saying something that causes suffering. So, for example, if you are typing an email and you make a mistake and then later you're criticizing yourself for that, or you said something to someone and it didn't sound the best, you make a mistake at work, or overall you stand in front of the mirror and you're criticizing yourself, all these kind of moments. So the first thing with self-compassion and the tool and the model is to actually really notice. And noticing, and we define it, or it's defined in the literature as noticing the suffering. If you don't notice the kind of critical voice and get to know your critical voice and how it talks to you, and I can add from the perspective of neuro linguistic programming that this voice can also be noticed in the way of how it feels in your body. If you're having let's say, often like kind of this gut reaction or reaction in your body. If you're having it, visual people are mostly seeing it like as a picture. It comes to their mind. They don't even notice maybe the critical voice, but they definitely have some sort of imagery, or it comes through their body, or there's something in the gut. So that's the noticing part, and that's noticing the suffering. So that's number one. Number two is is an interesting concept that's actually so useful for many of us, and many of us actually forget about it. So it is the concept of common humanity. So part of self-compassion is common humanity. It means understanding and bringing into mind that you are not alone in this, that there are tons of other people who have made the same mistake. There are tons of other people who are similarly suffering, and there are tons of other people who feel the same way. So this aspect is meant to do several things. And we see it that it works, especially with if you have, or if we all sometimes have this tendency towards depression. And why it works is because reminding yourself in that moment, and as I said, it requires practice, takes you away from this isolation. So, isolation, okay, this is only happening to me, only I make this kind of mistakes, only I can be so stupid, only I feel like this, and I'm so bad about myself, and things like that. And for example, for personally, if I can say from personal experience, so making, for example, a big mistake at work, it really, really helped me to remind myself of this common humanity, that there are other people who are definitely making similar kinds of mistakes. So this took this like kind of heavy feeling, and feeling that I am alone, and so bad at this away. So this aspect of common humanity helps you to take away isolation and come back to the concept that you're not alone in this. And then the third aspect, so we spoke about noticing the suffering, the type of inner language that's going on in you. The second one, that you're actually reminding that you're actually not alone in this. Then the third one is turning around the language, or being kind to yourself. And when we talk about this aspect, many actually do not know, when they start out with self-compassion, is that they don't really know how to be kind to themselves through the language. So for those, I would really give a tip that start try what are the words that work to you. That's like the first steps, tiny steps towards that. You don't need to take big leaps. If you don't believe your own language right away, it's okay. That's why it's a practice. It's a tool that requires practice. So the kind language, and the kindness can also come through body. So that's another aspect that of this kindness realm, is that you can actually develop kind practices towards your body. And when we do this kind of self-compassion courses, or trainings, we teach people how to to actually practice this kind or soothing touch. And you can do that by just practice it, and start getting familiar with your body, by just, for example, placing a hand on your heart and sitting like that for a while. And if I understand, if it's something that you've never done, it's gonna feel weird, but I promise you that once you actually get a contact with yourself, this is such a beautiful way to support yourself. And also during the times when you are alone and you need that type of connection with yourself. And I'll share here actually one of my favorite ways. So I do like the hand on the heart and connecting myself through touch like that. But there's another one that's called butterfly, and I learned it from a Finnish psychologist who learned it from a scientist and also therapist from Latin America. I cannot point it yet out, but I will find you that source at the end of the live. So the butterfly technique is like that. You cross your hands like this, and you place it. You see me here. You place it near to your heart, and this is such a nice way of actually practicing soothing. Let me put the camera a little bit. Soothing touch. So like this, and um, so this soothing touch and kind way of talking to yourself are part of the three scientific steps and elements of self compassion. Um, what I would still say is other ways of establishing kind contact with yourself that falls underneath the same kind of things is just breathing. Um, we love this element of breathing with Jesse. And I personally practice just 21 breaths on quite daily basis. Um, it is a way of just sitting with yourself and getting contact to yourself, and through that, developing this self-love and self-compassion practices. And of course, there are meditations, but I do know that meditations are not perhaps not the easiest way into this for many of us. But I would love to excuse me. I'd love to end this on the topic of or on the point of giving you the resource to look into the TED Talk of Dr. Kristen Neff. Um, and I will place it down below in the comments. And please let us know what is something that you would like to learn from the self-compassion kind of tool concept. What do you think could be useful for you precisely in this moment of your life from the benefits that we know we talked about in the beginning, so such as dealing with the inner critic, from the moments that you make mistakes, also dealing with hard moments in your lives, and so forth. Thank you, and we will be back from now on every week with this wonderful Facebook Lives, and we are up for different kind of topics. We're up for supporting you with different tools and concepts, so please ping us, and I wish you all well wherever you are in the world. I see that Jessie has mentioned that I used to do this touching exercise where I put my hand um, on my belly and tell my belly that it is okay the way it looks and that I'm sorry how I've been mean to it. It's really healing. Oh wow, that's such a beautiful practice. Again, another way of being more compassionate to yourself and getting into this kindness practice. Wonderful, Jessie. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's something that many of us can actually use. Um, yes, yes. All right. Thank you, community. And we look forward to all kinds of questions and supporting you. Bye and have a wonderful week.